You know, I've got a great book in front of me. It's called Dreamers and Deceivers, True Stories of the Heroes and Villains Who Made America. And I've got a good friend on the phone here, Glenn Beck. How are you, sir?
Good. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Now, listen, I've read some of these things where you spoke up about your health. I don't want to spend a whole segment on this, but my audience might be interested in knowing a little bit more. Tell everybody what you revealed the other day.
I've been fighting something that we didn't even know what it was for about 5 years, and as it turns out, part of it is an autoimmune disease, and my adrenal glands don't work anymore, so I don't make any cortisol, I don't make any adrenaline anymore, and between that and a really painful form of neuropathy, I thought I was going to be retiring soon. The doctors about 18 months ago up in New York gave me a diagnosis to take at least a year off and see what that does, and then try to, kind of get some things in order, because I probably had anywhere between 5 years to outside 10 years of being able to have my memory intact. And so it was kind of a scary thing, Mark. It's been, when I was even at Fox, people even at Fox didn't know, because my team is really, really good, and there were only about 10 people that knew, but a couple of them were my producer and my director, and we had developed hand signals even when we were back at Fox to take the camera off me, because I have strange pain that's really quite debilitating at times, and it comes out of nowhere. And so we've tried to hide it for a long time, because we didn't know what it was, and it was scaring me and my family, and we weren't ready to talk about it. And so when I moved down here, I know a lot of Navy SEALs that go to the Carrick Brain Center, which does experimental brain work. And I was out of options. I'd seen doctors and doctors and doctors, and nobody had an answer for me except go and rest. And that doesn't seem good. And so I went to this brain center because I saw what it did to Marcus Luttrell. I saw what it did to some of these guys who have massive brain trauma. And when I went down there the first test they did, it was so funny. The first question was, how many blows to the head have you received in the last year?
Jeez. Mm-hmm.
And I said, none. And the room got really quiet. And when I went up to the doctors up in New York, they gave me a test. And Mark, it was one of the most humiliating things I've ever done in my life. I couldn't continue. They had to take a break because I just couldn't continue it anymore, because it was so horrifying and humbling. They just asked me, repeat a series of numbers back, 5, 7, 3, 4, 7. I couldn't do it. I couldn't work simple math problems out. And in the last year, it got to a point to where people in my own company who didn't know, there were only a very small handful that knew, but they would come in for meetings, and honestly, Mark, I didn't even know what they were talking about at times. There were times that I was so confused, and so my memory was so bad that I could not recall what we were supposed to be talking about or what we had talked about the time before. And it really caused some real problems. And so on television this last summer, I moved off my main stage and just started doing the show from my office, and I didn't want to tell anybody why, but it was because the doctors said, you can't work the way you're working anymore. You've got to work a very shortened hour, very shortened day, and get it all done at once, because you only have one shot of adrenaline, and once it's gone, it's gone. And, I wanted to sleep about 21 hours a day, going from only needing about 2 hours of sleep to sleeping almost all the time.
Well, let me ask you this. Is there anything they can do for this?
Yeah, I went in here at the Carrick Brain Center, and they've given me cortisol and hormone therapy. I've changed my diet radically for the autoimmune disorder and the inflammation that was happening in my body. And then they did this just radical, just crazy stuff. Everything from putting me in a, I don't even know what you call it, but like a gyroscope. It's like what the astronauts do, high-speed spinning in all directions. and electric stimulation for the brain and all kinds of stuff. And I went through that for about the last 9 to 12 months, and then intensive here at the end of the summer. And I got a clean bill of health. They put my brain back online, which was truly remarkable. I mean, I'm a different man. I still have the pain and the hormone stuff going on, but I'm not facing a life of living like Muhammad Ali, at least for the next 20, 30, 40 years, hopefully. Mm-hmm. It's been a real it's been a real miracle. And Mark, when I wrote to you, and I tell you, I mean, I'm going to get all weepy here just thinking about it. When we met in Washington just recently, and you told me, I said thank you for reaching back out to me, and you said when somebody writes a letter like that, you have to, and this is part of it, Mark. I mean, I've changed as an individual when you really think I might only have a year left in the public eye, and I might only have 5 more years left before I don't know my children's name. What have I done? What have I spent my time on? What am I doing? And it puts things into perspective, and it's given me a new urgency, and that's why I've been for the last 2 years trying to say to people, I'm sorry for whatever I've done. Can we just start all over again? And so
well, let me just say this. You wrote me a beautiful letter, and I've mentioned this on the air before. I mean, it was a beautiful letter, and I can see the time you took to write it. And it's a letter I should have written to you, quite frankly. So I just want you to know, and I've told you this before, I appreciate it. We don't meet that much, we don't talk that much, but you're a really good guy. And so I just want people to know that. I met you a month ago, and your lovely wife. By the way, your wife was sitting there like in the green room or wherever it is, in the side room. I didn't even know that was your wife. But anyway, she is
a huge fan of yours. She listens to you all the time.
Sweet lady. All right, I want to get to this. First of all, I want to wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And I know my audience does too. And I know you come under attack all the time, as we all do. But not from me. Glenn Beck, this is a beautiful book, Dreamers and Deceivers. Tell me what, this is pretty obvious,
Yeah, this is the follow-up to Miracles and Massacres, and Mark, I saw